today we're going to be talking about some common mistakes that I see in marketing, how to come off authentic in your branding, in your marketing, and the importance of preparation when it comes to video content. And then finally, we got two really interesting, cool stories from Rayban and Facebook that you're going to want to hear. So stick around and check it out. All right, so the first thing I wanted to talk about today, guys, one of the most common mistakes that I see people make in their marketing, their sales, it's all over the place. And it has so many different implications in marketing and social media. It's called the paradox of choice. Too many choices is a bad thing. Not enough choices is also a bad thing. People think, unlimited choices, total customization is good. But in reality, when it comes to marketing, running your business, actually has a lot of setbacks. So the biggest example of this that I see is restaurant owners and their menus. They do this, okay? If you have too many items on the menu, if you have too many things going on, too many options on your sales presentation, people can't make a choice. They get totally paralyzed by that, and that actually diminishes the quality of their experience. People like customization, they like having choices, but they also need to be narrowed down into a certain grouping, like that can make those choices reasonable for them. I see this a lot of times in marketing when it comes to posting call to actions, right? We have a call to action that says, give us an email or text us, or you could call us, or you could leave us a Facebook message or DM, whatever it is. Just keep it to one thing, right? Just say, okay, give us a call. That doesn't mean they're not going to email you. It's just saying being specific is actually good. So when we talk about video content or content in general, we don't want to talk about everything. We just want to talk about a few things, one set specific thing. So I wanted to get kind of your opinion on that because it's something I've been seeing a lot when I'm working with my clients, and I try to do a good job of this too. Like even in, when we put out proposals or anything, narrow the options down a little bit.
I think goal consolidation is like the key word there, because if you want, it goes back to call to actions on ads, right? Call me or email me or text me or whatever. It's way easier if you run an ad, or way more actually effective if you run an ad that just says, call me. And then you track how many calls did you get. It's not just casting a wide net and hoping that it works out. It's being specific about what you want to get from your ad and then reverse engineering the content back to get that. But
yeah, you see it happen on ads a lot too, where they're trying to, bulk together a lot of different types, right? They'll want a brand awareness or traffic or leads all in one. And it's very helpful, but also more effective to have that healthy balance where it's, hey, like, let's pick one, make sure that, you're targeting that goal most effectively. So if your main goal is website traffic, like let's prioritize that call to action instead of also trying to drive people to the website. But no, I also want the leads. I also want this. I also want more awareness. Like, no, like we'll create different campaigns for different goals, but, don't try to, merge so much into one.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about this like paradox of choice in knowing about it, once you know about it, you can apply it to your industry. It doesn't matter. It's not specific to one thing. It's kind of human nature. So an example of this was this client was looking to run a promotion for like the new year. And they were like, okay, let's make this flyer that has, okay, we can do 5% off class X, 10% off this class, or you could just do a one-time discount becoming a new member. And it was like it was something in health and fitness, right? And so they had all these things. And it's like, how is someone going to look at that and then make a real decision as far as like, okay, I want this one. Like what you did is just make sure that they're right. You know what? I'm not even going to do this. Be specific so that maybe you can hit one person who really wants to, take that, intro to boxing or whatever it is, or intro to the gym, whatever. Be specific in your marketing. So that's one thing I thought was cool, and I thought it applies to pretty much everyone.
Yeah, and think about it from the consumers or the viewers' point of view. What's going to be easiest? Are they going to be overwhelmed when you see it? Put yourself in the consumer's shoes. Like if you were to be hit with that same campaign, whether it's a post, whether it's a call to action, an ad, whatever it may be, but if you're looking at it and you're getting overwhelmed, like, well, what should I do here? Yeah. Then it's probably too much, right? Simplify that down, pick one, strategize, make it the most effective.
Yeah, imagine like if you went to a doctor's office and you had high blood pressure and they were like, okay, yeah, we have so many different drugs that can fix this. Just we can whatever you want. Yeah, and it's like, right. No. Give me options. I can't choose 20 fries. That's not good. Yeah. So there's diminishing returns when it comes to it's choice overload. Too many choices, not good. So that's pretty much it.
That's why sometimes they pick the prescription and give it to you.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. Be a consultant.
That's why sometimes we say, no, this is going to be the best. Let's start with this.
Yep.
And let's test the effectiveness.
It's our job, I think, to narrow it down, because there are 20, 50 unlimited options for whatever. Totally. So it's our job to narrow it down, present the client with 3 reasonable options, and say, okay, here's what's
going to be most effective.
Exactly.
What's going to work for you. And I actually think that choice overload comes into effect all the time on social media, because people say to themselves, okay, I can post anything on social media. How am I supposed to decide what to post?
Right.
Well, have a system and narrow things down. And that's why it kind of leads into our next point about, preparation for your content, preparation for video. What you can do is give yourself boundaries to operate in, prepare a little bit, and then say, okay, I want to talk about this one specific service, or I want to go into this one specific thing. And then you can make content about that. So I wanted to ask Justin about this a little bit. When it comes to video content, people get overwhelmed, paralyzed with fear, because it's like, okay, I'm going to sit down and make 10 videos today. That's my goal. But they sit down in front of the camera and they're just like, oh shit, what am I doing? So can you talk a little bit about that and like some ways to curb that?
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, it comes down to preparation, and it depends on, I always say this, it comes down to what your goals are. So you start there. And, like you said, you don't want to just go in and think you can just do a video and then just sit down in front of the camera and just go blank. Like, that's the worst. And a lot of people do that. So I think the biggest way, like you said, a little bit of preparation, have those boundaries that you're going to work within. But don't stick to the script too much. Obviously a little bit of preparation is good, but yeah. And then, there's a couple different components you want to focus on, right? Like, you want to focus on what you are going to talk about as far as like just information. You want to consider kind of like what the look is you want to go for, because you guys know in social media, you probably want to keep your branding consistent. You want to keep everything relatively consistent. So, yeah, I'd say that's another big thing that you have to focus on. In your experience, what are some other things, we deal with it every day. Like, what are some things that you guys see that you think clients should kind of prepare more for their shoots?
The one major thing, because I'm passionate about this, is that persona sheet we use with our clients. It's the messaging and the audience. Be specific about who you're going to talk to. Identify your target persona, who that person is, and then their pain points. So if you're talking about first-time home buyers, what are the biggest pain points for those first-time home buyers that you're looking for? Figure out how you can solve those problems and then create content around it. So we're not talking about all things real estate. We're talking about what are 5 pieces of content I can put out there that are going to solve those first-time home buyers' problems. And that's just an example. But if you use that process, and that's kind of what I do with all my clients, that's going to lead you to better content, I think. And it's going to start being a lot easier to think of content ideas because it's more of a narrow scope.
It goes right back to just being specific about your goals.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. The only thing I would add to that is, as part of that persona sheet, also, matching the content to each of those personas as well. Mm-hmm. Right. It's the goal behind that persona sheet is not only to help you identify the pain points of your target audience, but it also helps you internally strategize what kind of content you should be putting out during what time. So that's another thing that goes along with preparation, because depending on what industry you're in, based on what's happening at that point in time, it also helps you plan for that and break things down, whether some topics should be short form for those pain points, whether some should be long form. Going back to the first episode, when we talked about which kind of medium and structure is best, it helps you figure that out, like what type of form is going to be best for the pain points you're solving based upon your audience. Is your audience in a fast-paced market? They don't have that much time. Okay, well, based off of the pain points you identified on the persona sheet, can you make quick tip videos? Is it going to be long form? So that's that it's almost like a hidden gem of the persona sheet that a lot of people don't think about, but it's key because it helps you strategize on the best forms of content.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that kind of goes back to the original point Justin was making about like preparation a little bit. If you're getting stuck on video content, whether you're working with a videographer, an agency, or just doing it yourself, can't stress that enough. That little bit of extra preparation beforehand, before setting up the camera, that's going to go so far, because I've seen so many people who are like, yeah, I tried doing it. I just got like stage fright alone by myself. Couldn't think of anything to say. I wasted a half an hour. And it's like, that sucks because you did all the hard stuff. The easy stuff is just sitting down for 15, 20 minutes, writing some of these things out, figuring out the topics, and then going into it, right? So that little bit of preparation, I think, helps a lot. And that's what we do with our clients, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We always say, like, bullet points, not scripts.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the main rule, because none of us are actors. So we're not trying to write perfect scripts and nail our lines verbatim. You can't come off authentic that way. Bullet points to guide your topics, but they allow you to be yourself and yeah, just remain authentic and kind of be casual about the way you hit each thing.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue into the next thing we want to talk about, which was authenticity in your marketing, authenticity in your video content. You don't have to be scripted. You don't have to be, over the top, like reading from a teleprompter, but, there is some things that you can do to come off more authentic. So Russ, you had some ideas on that. And if you want to elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think the main thing is just like explaining to people that there is a split between documentation and creating content, documenting and creating content. And when a lot of people say, oh, I want to be more authentic, really what that's telling me is that they want people to see what they're really doing in their day-to-day. Like, I want people to see me for who I am and what I'm doing, like the real conversations you're having. And so the best way to be authentic is to be super raw and just document your day-to-day. That's really pure authenticity, is documentation, like a documentary of your own self or your own business, your own team working together in the office. Nothing more authentic than that. And then the creation side goes into what Justin was just talking about, where you do need more planning, and that's the split.
And it's okay that
one or
both
the
of
other.
those things exist. People are like, I have to do one or the other.
Nope.
There's a balance.
There's a balance, but those are the two content streams. It's one or the other. So think to yourself, do I want to document what's going on? Like, it's easier said than done. Like, for an office environment, it's easier if you're like a construction company or like you're building homes. Documenting is kind of a no-brainer because it's like we need to get photos of us working on these projects, and it's more physical, visual work. But to each their own. Like, there's a strategy to be super authentic and document what you do no matter what industry you're in.
Yeah, and sometimes it's okay to just, take a quick story about you getting a coffee or you having a meeting or you playing with the dog in the office or whatever it might be,
Right.
Right. It's, I think the principle behind authenticity is it's the one thing that you can't compromise on. Mm-hmm. Right. So yes, it might be different based upon, what you do, what kind of authentic content you're kind of rolling out there to show what you're all about. It is the one trait that if you compromise on, now you compromise on every single other core value that you have also. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're not authentic, you lose transparency.
People can smell,
right?
smell it.
Yeah. You lose your integrity. You lose, whatever additional value that you may be providing, but now it's going to be taken with a grain of salt because now, you've kind of presented yourself as someone that you're not, and like you said, you can smell that. You can smell that, coming from a mile away. So yeah, it's one thing you never want to compromise on. However you do it in a way that's comfortable for you based on what it is, but you definitely always want to be authentic.
And it's in subtle ways too. Like, people have asked me before, like, what should I wear? It's like, well, what do you wear?
What would you wear?
Yeah, what do you always wear?
Yeah,
what should, well, if you're giving tips to people, say, I'll go back to real estate. If you're giving tips about real estate, what the hell would you be telling your clients on a day-to-day basis? What would you be talking about? Talk about that stuff. It's authentic. Just because we're in front of a camera doesn't mean the whole world has to change. It's all the same shit. You're just putting it on social media.
Yeah.
Do all the things that made you successful in real life and then transcribe that on social media. We don't have to be, HVC or whatever the hell that channel is, like influencers once the camera starts rolling.
And that's what I was going to say.
yourself.
Like, the word to the wise is like, you already are the influencer that you are going to be. Exactly. Right? Like,
I like that.
It's documenting who you are. You don't need to be an actor or change your personality. If you document who you are and allow that to bring in the right people, you can do this forever.
Yep.
And
and don't get swayed by what you see, right?
No.
It's different for everyone. So it's like, there's that complex where people think, oh, I have to be this image for people to like me or for me to grow my business. And like, No, it's like be you. The people that like you for you are going to do business with you.
That's who you want.
You're not going to attract every single one. Like that's why demographics exist. That's why target markets exist. Like everyone's different.
There's enough audience
So
to go around.
be you. Yeah. And the more authentic you are, the more easier it is to maintain consistency with content.
Yes.
Keep that going, keep the creativity and creative juices flowing on what to release. But
that's the main
the
thing,
moment you
right?
try to be someone that you're not, you run out of ideas.
Right. How
do I
unsustainable
mimic
is
this?
it?
You know how to be yourself.
Right. Right.
It's not-
and it's exhausting
Totally.
if you try to be that person who's like just faking it for the camera every time, because you shut right when the camera goes off. It's like shutting the Zoom. Shutting Zoom on your laptop. You're like, okay, the acting's done, and you don't want to.
No.
You don't ever really want to be in that position.
So many people, their first shoot will come in and just have this persona that they like saw on YouTube, and they have to be high energy. And it's like, if you're not a high energy person, man, don't.
Yeah, just
Because
be
not
your-
everyone's
just be
high
yourself.
energy. There's just as many
And
people
that's okay.
that are like you are naturally.
Exactly.
You're not going to appeal to everyone. You can't. Just be yourself. That's going to be the best option. If you're a little nerdy, be a little fucking. Who cares? Be nerdy. If you're like super well put together, don't try to be like chill beach guy. Like it's not.
Right.
I
you.
think the people who highlight on their insecurities are like them.
Totally.
They're more authentic.
Well, the more consistently you create too, people will see you on a day that you were, like I was saying, I was exhausted on the first day that we ever shot the podcast. I was just super tired, and today I'm just not as tired. Like, and so people will see the difference. People will see, like, if you keep creating content, that's how they get to know you.
Right. Yeah. And you're not always at 100%. Like everybody, you come to work, you're not always at 100%. That's okay. You don't have to be 100% for your videos as long as you show up.
In real life, in the office, people don't expect you to be like 100% all the time. You're gonna, 100%.
I once went to a
100%.
shoot where the client was practicing the level of smile. Like they were, they were cheesing back and forth.
Yeah.
Like
That feels
is
so
this
bad.
too much? Is this too much? Is this too little? Do I look happy? Do I?
Yeah.
it's
Some
like-
clients
it's like
just
relax.
get so
Yeah.
nervous.
It's like let's relax.
And I get it.
right?
Like I get because
It's like-
I've been there. So it's not.
like-
It's funny, but it's so true. People do that. That's the norm. You know?
Well, the funny thing is the more they did that, the more crazy eyed they appear on the camera.
exactly.
And I was like, okay, well, let's just how about we sit normally? Let's see how that looks. Looked amazing. Perfect. I'm like, dude,
We're just having a conversation.
I used to.
you
That's
don't need
what,
to think about all of that. Like, just have a conversation. Let's have fun. Let's shoot some content. Yeah, don't worry about those granular things. Those are all made up things on social media.
It's
You do
also
not need to
things that
replicate an image.
People
It's
see
all,
you
it's
every
all
day.
BS.
Right.
Like you're working. This is how everybody else sees you. So to be super self-conscious now, just because you're on camera, it's everybody knows what you look like. You're not gonna hide that. And it's fine. People
In
do
fact, they'll
business with
hate your
you.
content when they see it because they'll be like, "That's not who he is."
Right. Yeah. Right. It's
And let's not forget, your starting base of audience, most likely, if you're starting from scratch, especially, is going to be your friends or family. And those are the people that are going to see it first, people that have already followed you. And if they think you're being fake, how's that going to resonate to your customers, right? So, but be authentic, relax, have some fun during content days.
One last thing on that I think is kind of a funny story. I used to do this all the time. I don't know if you did it too or Justin, but I would literally have, if we're sitting down doing like interview style videos, I would have people like just tell me what you're going to say. And I would like roll, like I would start recording, and I just wouldn't tell them. No, it's not on. It's not on. Just tell me like what you're gonna say.
Genius.
I do. I literally would do it
gotten-
all the fucking time. And then they'd be like, "Okay, so does that make sense?" I was like, "Yeah, I think that's perfect." And I would like start packing up. They're like, "What?" And I'm like, "We're done." I was recording the whole thing. And they're like,
nailed
"Oh," they were like, "You were so good." Like, so just talk.
And those
about
have
some-
Secret sauce right there.
yeah, exactly.
Those have sometimes turned out to be the best clips too.
Best clips. Yep.
Most genuine, most shares, most engagement compared to
because
most
you can
scripted
tell
videos. So.
it's like, okay, I want people to know this about us. I really like, it's just that authentic, like them telling
way
you
you
behind
say
the
it,
scenes,
the
the
way
way
that
you
they
say
say
it. It's like,
it,
this is what I want people to know for real.
Yeah, because it's
And then you roll and it's like, hey guy, like it's
or you
just
roll. It's
not
like,
how
I'm very trustworthy and honest, and it's like, dude, what's
come on.
all right?
That's
core
good.
values.
Yeah. Anything else on that?
I'm good on that one. I think that was good.
All right, cool. So the last thing that we want to talk about is Sahil. You had some interesting stories you wanted to tell us about Rayban and Facebook. They have some new current events going on that we keep up with for you, so everyone listening doesn't have to always be on Social Media Insider. Talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Rayban Stories. I think that's what they're calling it's by Meta. So if you remember,
Rayban Stories being the glasses themselves.
Right. So if you remember back in 2016 when Snapchat released what was
Spectacles.
it? Yeah,
Spectacles.
then Google had their Google Glass. So Facebook is creating their own, and I'm still getting used to referring to Facebook as Meta. I'm still getting used to that, but yeah, Facebook/Meta. But yeah, they're creating their own called the Rayban just Stories. I think that's what they're calling it, and these are pretty cool because. See, Google Glass and spectacles were a complete flop because, number one,
Explain to people what these are. Physical glasses with
like
a camera built in.
Yeah,
where you
these
can
were
upload
physical
stories.
glasses. Yeah, these were physical. It was hardware. You wear these. These were glasses. It lets
Creeper
you.
glasses.
Yeah, it let you record videos and so on. But the number one thing why they flopped was people just hated how they looked.
Yeah.
They just looked
They're
stupid.
goofy.
It was goofy for everyone. All right, and so Meta at least they're partnering with Ray-Ban, and I think I forget the exact name, but their Ray-Ban itself was partnering with like this designer that was supposed to make it a goal of making it more aesthetic and stuff like that. So they tackled that issue, and they look pretty cool. But I'm more curious to see how they're going to be. If we can pull it up, that'd be awesome. They solved the first pain point of making them look good, so I think that's going to go a long way. But I'm more curious just to see how these are going to tie into the future technologies and what opportunities they're going to be enabling. Some of the things that were in their initial report, and they've already started test driving, these in 4 markets, I believe: Spain, Austria, Belgium. I forget the last one, but they're supposed to have open air speakers, the ability to send and read messenger chats.
So they interface right with your social media.
Yeah, on command voice.
Cool.
So it's tying in all these future technologies, and it's going
Still
to
a
be
little
cool
bulky.
to see. Yeah, it's going to be cool to see how future ads are going to tie into it. Are you going to be able to see augmented reality pieces that are a whole separate just dimension of content? Are these going to be instrumental in accessing the metaverse in an easier way? There's just so much that's still not planned, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on for sure.
We definitely know that's where they're heading.
Yeah.
Like that's the goal, is to be able to see your notifications like on those screens.
No. Don't lift up your wrist. Open your eyes.
Yeah.
And here is who just liked your Facebook story. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and if I'm not mistaken, it's also supposed to allow cross platform capabilities. So it's not supposed to be only Facebook exclusive. So if there is the chance where they might allow other apps to also build upon this new platform, I guess, or this new frontier, there's just a lot of opportunity, I think. And I think it's going to be something that's going to be a huge piece in the future. If you remember when AirPods first came out, you know how everyone laughed at them?
Yeah.
Like, dude, this looks silly.
That's why they're not testing in America, so they don't get like flamed on Twitter.
Like this is, this looks silly, and I'm
gonna lose those in a minute.
Wired headphones all the way. I'm never gonna buy these Bluetooth there, and now they're a staple, for everyone. So this can very well turn into a similar situation on the social end, where it's enabling so much. And I'm thinking just not only on the social end, but just other things. What if they develop technologies where people with sight might benefit? And I'm sure there's going to just be so many different verticals that are going to be added into this, that it's not going to be just for augmented reality or just for the social end. There's going to be other technologies,
an accessibility capability for people who are like sight impaired or something like that.
Exactly. Like think about how
glasses.
iPad was a hardware that originally was just supposed to be a big form of an iPhone, just to allow you to browse, but now it's turned into something that hospitals use to perform surgeries,
POS displays.
to virtual realities and building holograms for engineering firms, and it's just going to evolve into so much. So I wanted to say it's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Do we go around and make predictions? I'm going to say it's going to do better than spectacles, but still, I don't think people are going to use them. I don't think people
it's
are gonna buy
close,
them.
but it'll probably be
one-
another 5 years,
It'll
5
be
to
a little
10
bit
years
longer.
before people
Yeah.
are like day to day, like going to meetings with like just
'Cause it just
in their
look-
boxers,
I-
putting their glasses on, and you're in the conference room.
Yeah.
It's close, but
Yeah.
I think, like you said, it's going to take some time to roll out. So I think within that rollout period, they're going to improve upon it, slim down the design, make changes. Because Ray-Ban itself is a popular brand. Like people do wear their glasses.
That's a huge partnership.
So I think, people will wear them.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of buying, a new pair of shades, they're going to buy these.
Why not for an extra $100?
Yeah, for an extra, if they can get it to look the exact same way.
Do they record too, or is it just
so
straight upload?
I think these first ones that were released in the test markets, they allow 60 seconds worth of upload. Yeah,
I wonder if they
HD.
have a hard. Do they have like a SD inside, or do they like Bluetooth to your phone or something?
Or like
I
a
don't
micro
know.
or something.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. All right, I'll hedge my bet a little bit. I think they might catch on in a specialty market. Like I could see like making like law enforcement or military have to wear something like that.
Or
they
content
have,
creators.
I bet you they have
I almost
real
bought
specialty.
Just
one.
because it's a
Like, right when it
Ray-Ban,
came
I
out,
think it's
remember I
going
sent
to.
it to you guys.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is kind of cool because you could make like first person video content almost. You know
That's
what I mean?
true,
That would be kind of like a cool thing.
Yeah, it's
Where
just going to enable new forms, just new forms of short form or instant. It's just going to.
Yeah.
So and
Why
plus
strap a
at the end
GoPro
of the
to your
day,
head when you can,
it is a recognizable brand. People do buy Ray-Ban glasses just right now. So I think that partnership is what will. They learned a lot from Google Glass, and they learned from Snapchat Spectre work. Like these were self-designed hardware pieces by those other companies, and they looked goofy.
Right.
If you can't get people to actually
they look
wear them
goofy
in
as
public,
hell. So
that's
like these look cool.
Yeah.
If you're on a summer day, you need some Ray-Ban shit. Like no, it's like some people might try these out. So we'll see.
Gotta imagine there's like Oculus technology in there, or it's potentially will be in there in the future
AR
versions. Like Facebook's a pretty big leader in that world too. So
yeah, I think to go off your point too, Sahil, I think this technology, like you said, has been around and it's been tested, and it's not as big as it's going to be. I think I agree with Russ. Within five or so years, I think we'll really be like reaping the benefits of the fact that this technology is around. And then back to your original point too about people with different disabilities and stuff. Like I think about 5 years ago, Bose came out with something very similar, which is instead of the visuals, they had audio coming through the sides. So one feature that was for people with who are vision impaired or blind, they could hear their directions, and they could literally track them with the GPS and then tell them exactly where to go, tell them when there's things that are in their way and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be a completely next step.
Yeah, definitely not a finished product, but you can see the.
It's going to take some time, and that's why I think they tested it out in these smaller markets, but markets that are also smart friendly are tech eager, so they're going to learn a lot from that. Yeah, it's not like they mass rolled it out or anything, but it'll definitely take some time. But I'm curious to see, especially with everything that's augmented and virtual going on. If this was a few years back, where things were still on device. Majority, then yeah, I mean it might flop. But with the future that we talk about, just voice is taking over, augmenting, virtual coming, all of these different new frontiers. There has to be something that's going to help bridge you into that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's going to be curious to see. I mean, it's still in its early stages, but they have started a year ago. They announced it. No one could buy these, but at least. Keep in mind, they're investing billions of dollars into R&D for this stuff. And if they just did that for a whole year and still decided, hey, it's worth testing this out, they probably saw something too. So yeah, let's keep an eye on it.
I think sometimes to go off that point too, I think there's sometimes a disconnect between regular everyday people who may or may not use this, and then people like us who would just nerd out about this stuff. And I think the bridge will eventually, the gap will eventually bridge, but yeah, I don't know. Like you said, I'm definitely interested to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's the gap that they're trying to bridge with the regular people, like everyday people, because Ray-Ban is a everyday company.
That's the mass majority.
Exactly.
It'll be the younger crowd. Like you see kids now, or basically everyone younger than us, is like they're natural born content creators. All of them are on their phones all the time. So this is like an easier way for them to upload to Snapchat, and it's like a cool first person view. I'm sure those are the types of people that will be like early adopters, like younger millennials and stuff. But
I guarantee you, if Ray-Ban's doing this, all the other companies,
Are gonna follow.
Oakley, they're going to follow with their own versions, and it's just going to be a new market.
Oakley could get away
Then
with
there's
bulkier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you were mentioning Army and things, like the tough gear. There's opportunity for
application
different manufacturers to make
Waterproof.
different versions.
Right.
Yeah, for swimmers, whatever it may be. The divers that like to record underwater videos. At least now they don't have to mount 3 GoPros to their head.
Yeah.
You know, and
Piloting drones.
It'll actually be kind of
Yeah,
cool to
it's
see
just-
those cross-brand situations where like Axon makes all of the military military cameras. Like I'm sure there's going to be cross promotion between companies like that and then companies like Oakley or Ray-Ban or whatever it is, or GoPro and Under Armour get together and they come out with their version.
Yeah,
So
there's
it'll
gonna-
be cool to see. It'll be cool to watch.
Did they say what the price is going to be on this?
Like
I believe it's
$300.
$299.
$299. Yeah.
So that's crazy, and it's
not so
consumer
bad.
level. It's it's professional quality gear at a consumer level price.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is some Ray-Bans that are just normal everyday wear are more expensive than that.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
So there's
That's
that.
not-
There's
so,
that
yeah,
other
that's-
piece.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah,
not
there's
the most expensive
$700,000
glasses.
Ray-Bans, and like this looks like it's at least sturdy built and not gonna break. So
All right. Well, cool. So to change, to pivot there a little bit, the next kind of big story coming out with Facebook, they did something that I'm really surprised to hear. So Sahil, you want to fill us in on that? Keep us up to date.
yeah, definitely. So I want to say this in a clearer manner. There's been, over the years, there's been a plethora of just fake reviews, endangering business profiles, lowering their rankings, ruining consumer perception of those businesses. And in the past, all you could really do is submit a support ticket to Facebook or flag it yourself, reach out to the customer in hopes of working it out and solving it that way. But one of the biggest pain points was the fake reviews where you couldn't reach out. It was obviously just paid for through a third party just to hurt your business. And there was no way to get rid of these because, Facebook support was kind of just non-existent. Like the most you can do is do a support ticket and you can't reach out to these customers. And it was just really, especially the small businesses, the mom and pop shops, the local shops where reviews, matter a little bit more. It was killing them. So,
Just spam, right? Spam.
yeah, just spam.
Bots.
Yes, and now it's even worse than that. Now it's like even the names sound spam, and you can't remove them.
It's like so clearly not real.
Yeah, it's. And we're talking about Meta, but the other day we saw a review on Google, and the name was Spam Foo. Like spam foo.
1-star review.
1-star review.
And it's never even about the business. It's not like a specific. It's just a totally random like.
Yeah, and we flagged that. We flagged that and said, hey, this is spam and just conflict of interest behavior. And they said no. I mean, we want to value reviews and the honesty of our customers on the business. Like, dude, that's not a real person.
It's tough because
and not blaming the platforms at all too, because if they don't do that, then they still get shit, right? If they do something about it, they get shit.
but in a tough spot.
But why we're talking about this is recently Meta has been starting lawsuits chasing the companies down that leave these fake reviews and suing them directly. And that's huge.
And to be clear, that has
huge.
absolutely never happened in any capacity. Never has one of these big social media companies taken actual position like that against people spamming or putting up fake. The only other comparable would be Facebook trying to pull down fake news or whatever it might be, like companies that are putting out bad content and things like that. But never before have they done something like this.
Right. Yeah. It's the first time that they themselves are standing up for the little guy, and they're not bothering the little guy. They're not saying, "Hey, you need to be involved in this."
You got to be in our partner program.
Yeah. Yeah. No. They're taking that stand, and they themselves directly are chasing these people down, suing them, or potentially making sure that they just can never access the platform again in this way. They might change up their review mechanism to make it a different way where spam bots can't easily go in. They're tackling it pretty hard, but yeah, that's a major news point that's not known. It very recently it came out, and it's been happening behind the scenes, but now with more and more companies being targeted and actually being found, I'm talking about the bad companies that did this kind of business. It's becoming known, like, oh, like, holy shit, like Meta's coming after us now. It's not the mom and pop guy that's never going to find us. No, it's the engine itself that will find you. And what was it Liam Neeson? I will find you, and we will kill you.
Like, it's very good to bring that up because people have a lot of anxiety, especially small business owners, when they get a review like that. It can be a very like, it's an emotional thing. It's like, man, I worked very hard to get a 5-star rating, and I just got some random 1-star. Now I'm down to 4.8 like everyone else, or whatever it is. That. And so hopefully this puts some minds at ease.
And the other giants will follow, because if Meta did it, the other giants will follow. So Google will go through something similar. Google has something that Facebook doesn't right now. So there's different versions of it. So for example, like, let's say, like, through like a Google link, someone left a spam review on your Zillow, because they have different plugins where it compiles reviews. So Google has partnered with these different people where they encourage you to track down who left that spam review. So, like, if it's through that Zillow and Google tool, what they'll do is, if you open up a lawsuit and you go to them and say, hey, I have an open lawsuit to find out who this person is, they will release which person's, like, email address it came from.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're doing things behind the scene too. That was a little confusing because it's very hairy. Like, you can't
privacy rights.
Yeah. You go through so many different support tickets and things, but I have heard of that being done, especially with some real estate companies that just get the spam.
Property management companies especially get it like crazy.
Yeah, so there is that avenue. It's still new, but hopefully Google just follows something like this, where they're just open about. Maybe they just display the email address, and it's not on the review itself. But if there was a problem where someone submitted a ticket to potentially have that review flagged, then the person that left that review should have their email exposed.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to review a real business that's offering a service, then, hey, yeah, you have the freedom to do that. But that business, if they don't agree with it, they should have the right to at least figure out who you are.
Yeah.
So they can reach out and ask you to
potentially
remove it.
Yeah. Like, how can you leave a bad review and then, like, not give the business a chance to at least help you? And worst of all, how can you just be a spam review just targeting businesses and the businesses can't do anything? Like, they can be,
because that's competitors
and that
do it all
was
the time.
Case too. Like, if people don't know it, you couldn't do anything. Like, you flag these reviews, but
same thing with Yelp. Yelp's another one. There's some certain there's best practices, but still, at the end of the day, you're beholden to.
There's no way to just take it down if it's fake.
Yeah, like Airbnb, those are same way.
Yeah, although I will give Facebook Meta credit, because they've actually been trying to do right by this for a few years. If you remember, a few years back, you used to actually be able to leave like an actual review on a page.
Change it to recommendations.
Yeah, they changed that to recommendations. And even the recommendations, now you have to go through a handful of, it's almost like multiple choice. It's like, choose why you're recommending, and then you have to go through a submit, and then it publishes your recommendation under, like, hey, so-and-so recommends this business because of, professionalism, punctuality, whatever the trait may be. But they've made it so that it's, it prevents these bots from auto doing it, because, these companies just rose to power where you can be like, hey, $100, go leave 50 bad reviews on this guy's. And that poor guy couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Because there was no avenue of reaching out, and then they reach out to Facebook, and Facebook is run by, a computer's running, is responding to you. So there was no avenue. So it's really good that they're taking that stand.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes, because it's always going to be an uphill battle when you're working on a free platform that all you need is an email to create a new account. It's like, even if you get that one taken down, it's always going to be that uphill battle. It's like
whack-a-mole forever.
It's like Michael Scott, being like, I have unlimited names and I can just keep creating businesses. It's like that same situation. So no matter, but hopefully in the future.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. Actually, that leads us into another point where they're cracking down heavily on anything that does not seem to be what it is. And what I mean by that is we've had like, a few recent clients that are new that asked us, hey, is it worth keeping my personal page, like the main page where I just share the business stuff, or should I make a business page? And, there's so many right answers to that. But recently what we've been seeing is you definitely do need to make a business page. I know it's hard starting from scratch. I had that conversation yesterday with someone. It's hard starting from scratch, but it's Facebook is cracking down on those personal profiles that are posting business content and then suspending them because, hey, you're supposed to be a personal profile.
And this says, Michael Law.
Yeah,
that's not a first and last.
Yeah, you're avoiding
down.
Yeah, you're kind of just avoiding all those guidelines and trying to. So they've been cracking down on that. You might be doing everything right. I'm not saying you're publishing spam content or annoying anyone, but it's just not how you're supposed to do it.
Yep.
You're not supposed to just add people as friends personally and act like a business. So yeah, if you're out there, you listen to this, if you're, just starting out, definitely create the business page. If you need a starting audience, go through, invite all your friends and just, bring them over.
Let me ask, why is that important? Because I've had clients ask me that. I'm not the marketing guy, I'm the video guy. So can you briefly touch on why that's important? Like, why is that distinction so important? Besides all of, obviously the bots and stuff like that.
Well, number one, if you don't do that anymore, you're going to get shut down.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, because they're going to attribute your behavior to being that of a business and not a personal profile. So that's number one. And then there's other benefits of having a business page, such as the ability to run ads down the road.
We've been saying this for
the ability to run ads, campaigns to drive additional traction, the ability to scale those even further into, conversion-based ads and pixels. And, so you lose that entire ads functionality if you keep it a personal profile.
Plus the suite of insights and publisher.
Data, publisher. There's so many business functions that continue to evolve. It's not like they've not made any progress on that. So they keep making those better. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the new content planner in Business Suite.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Now you can schedule out the Instagram post. They released that about a couple years ago before you weren't even able to do that. So they've done everything right for businesses, and they really are trying to keep making a stand on just business, first for like the pages and how to help even the little guy to the big guy.
So they would have a leg up. At the end of the day, is what you're saying. They're going to have the biggest leg up.
You want to tap into those tools. They're free.
If you're into it for the long term, if you're into, because Facebook, Meta, Instagram, it's not going anywhere. So long term, it makes sense to at least start a business page. You don't have to delete your personal page with 1,600 likes tomorrow, but we should start that transition today. That today is the best time to start that transition.
Right, and it's easy. You just have to invite. If you have 5,000 friends, it's just invite them. The ones that care about your business, they're gonna accept it. If you're so proud of your personal profile, where you think, hey, I have this base developed, I have all these people that love me.
Prove it.
It's like just invite them. It's a simple click of a button, but like, why would you lose out on all these capabilities of, being able to grow, leverage ad tools, data, create custom audiences, lookalikes? Like why would you miss out on that?
Yeah. And I think there's diminishing returns on posting only business stuff on your personal account too. Like eventually all those personal friends that you look at as like, oh, my organic reach is going to go down if I make a business page. It's like if you're only posting about your business on your personal, eventually those returns or the audience is going to diminish. Whereas like, if you're posting very consistently on the business page, and maybe 1 in 10 posts, like the really cool post you put on your personal account,
it's going to do
people are going to be like way happier for you, because it's like every once in a while you're sharing something you're proud of from the business page, and then you get more people to go follow the business page.
Yep. Totally. I think that's good. Anything else that you guys want to cover? I think that's it for today.
I'm good.
Not for me.
All right.
Solid.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Sweet.